Hi everybody, welcome back to Targum Torah. This week we're looking at parsha Lech Lecha, and the part that I want to share is the focus of Avraham's journey to becoming Avraham. In the name of this parsha, Lech Lecha, which unto itself I thought actually might warrant a little bit of analysis. The command that God gives to Avram can literally be understood as go, to you. Here God is telling Avram that it is time to leave and go to a new home, all on a promise. We see instances in Hebrew where the repetition is a stylistic tool to show intensification or emphasis. Rabbi David Kimchi, known as the Radak, points out in his commentary on the phrase Lech Lecha, and I also think Ramban has it too, that this style that Hebrew introduces of repetition occurs throughout the Torah in a couple different places. In Lech Lecha, the masculine second person singular you is encoded in the verbal imperative of to go, and then again as the objective suffix of the preposition le, to. God is making it clear to Avraham that you go, or as is often rendered in English, simply go. In my opinion, that simple go loses a little bit of the meaning that Hebrew is trying to convey in terms of the emphasis. It is also tempting in the Hebrew to read this as like a deeper statement, not of a physical journey, but of a spiritual one, an introspective journey. Go inward to yourself. English is not only translation that changes the tom, or taste, of the Hebrew. In Onkelos, the Aramaic, Izeh lach is a literal translation of Lech Lecha. Though retaining the emphasis in terms of repetition, it loses the visual and, to my opinion, kind of the auditory play of the Hebrew Lech Lecha. It also loses a little bit of the ambiguity of the written words when reading the Hebrew, because Hebrew, as it usually is written, is without the vowels, and so it looks identical. Looking at the Septuagint and the early Jewish Greek translation, which granted is not authoritative, but we often can use it for data points, we see echlethe ek teskes. The doubling of the is itself a little bit similar. There's some consonants there, though I'm inclined to think it's a little bit coincidental. The second is also translating from the Hebrew prefix me, which means from, and is not a part of the Lech Lecha phrase itself. Similar to how our in-person conversations are heavily coded with body language, which you can see I talk with my hands quite a bit, written language encodes both visual and auditory information. Often, translation is insufficient in capturing these subtle data points, or introduces its own encoding, which we will explore in later posts in Yirtzeh Hashem. Personally, I have to keep in mind that there is a diachronic, which means through time, nature of translation, where text and their translations exist in a cultural setting often far from one another, perhaps by more than 1,000 years, and that this influence of the translator at their point in time and their understanding impacts the way in which a text can be rendered. In its conclusion to all of this, recognizing that translation cannot always capture the subtle or stylistic aspects of a language, it invites us to sit with the text, not in a transactional or simply just reading it without digging into a way, but rather as an experience or a conversation that we're having with people in the past. This Shabbat, may we reflect on that inward journey into ourselves and how we, like Avraham, are adding a little bit of something to ourselves every time that we learn the parsha, and furthermore, how those around us may not always interpret us in the same way that we see ourselves. Thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you here next week.